Hello, everyone. How's it going? I can see you all are excited. The numbers are increasing by the minute. It seems like every one of you are joining are really, really enthusiastic about building a hackathon project this weekend with Near. So, yes, that is what this workshop is about, how to build on Near. And we're going to get you started shortly. Our guests are live backstage and are super excited to kickstart this amazing workshop. And I'm going to invite them up on stage in just a second. I can see that you all are really enthusiastic, but I would love to see that in the comment section as well. So share with us, how are you feeling today? What is the most exciting part about this hackathon for you? And we would love to see some comments brimming in the comment section. And meanwhile you do that, I would love to remind you to check in at the link, which is hackp.ac/how to build on Near. This is the OHQ workshop link that we shared with you on Discord as well. Make sure you check in and join us live here. And yes, we will start with this shortly. I can see some comments coming in, so I'm just going to put them out live because I'm excited too, super excited to present and see what everyone builds. That is so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Great, awesome. I love to see the enthusiasm, so let's get started, and I'm going to bring the Near team with us on stage. So we have some amazing folks from Near Foundation joining us. We have Ken, Benjamin, and Ari waiting backstage and are super excited to share some amazing bits of knowledge with you. And as I can see from the comment section, people, you're all very excited to work with the team as well. So without further ado, I'll just bring up on stage. Welcome, Ken, Benjamin, and Ari. How are you feeling today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good as well. Wow, this is an interesting group of crowd that we have in the comment section here, and I'm sure that this workshop is going to turn out amazing. So I'm just going to hand over to you and get you to take the stage ahead.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
great.
Can everyone see my screen? Okay, great. I'm seeing it. So yeah, hey everybody, welcome to the Near Times Major League Hacks Hackathon. This is going to be our build workshop. We're going to go through kind of some near technical basics as well as live examples, live demos of what you can not only build on the Near protocol directly from a smart contract standpoint, but also what you can build using the blockchain operating system. So super excited to be presenting. Hopefully this is an interactive session. So definitely feel free to ask questions. I'll stop kind of at each section and try to answer as many as we can. And hopefully, yeah, it's very insightful. And just want to also introduce Ben and Ari. They are some of our newest employees actually at the Near Foundation. But I think both have participated in hackathons themselves. And so they are also here to provide support if you need it as well. But without further ado, actually, I should introduce myself. So I'm sorry. I'm Ken Miyachi. I'm the tech lead and program manager for the Near Horizon team at the Near Foundation. I've been at the Near Foundation for about a year, worked in a wide variety of roles from, the grants program as well as the engineering team. And now I currently work on the Horizon team, and we're helping run this program along with Major League Hacks. So without further ado, we're going to get into it. Okay, so here's just a brief table of contents. We're just going to go over what is Near Horizon, the team that I, myself, Ben and Ari work on, go into some basics about the Near blockchain, the developer tools, get a deep dive into smart contracts on Near, go through some examples, ended up with how to build boss applications, which are full stack decentralized applications. Okay, so to start it off, what is Near? Why are you all here? Basically, it's broken down into, I would say, it's a very broad ecosystem, but how you can think about it is the fundamental layer is the protocol. So really, at its most basic form, it's a Web3 development platform. It allows you to deploy smart contracts and execute the code that is on those smart contracts. It's also a cryptocurrency. The token that powers the Near blockchain is the Near token, and it supports, gas fees, source fees, as well as sending and receiving virtual money. The second piece is the expansion of just the core protocol, which allows you to create full decentralized applications. And this is known as the blockchain operating system. What it is, it's a layer for browsing, discovering, and creating open web experiences that are compatible with any type of blockchain. So you can create boss applications that interact with the near blockchain, but you can also create applications that can interact with Ethereum and other EVM, L1s, L2s, as well as a wide variety of other blockchains. And then, when we think about what is near, right? I just went through the kind of the technical aspects of what is near, but it's also a collection of people in a community. So the collective consists of the Near Foundation, the organization that Ben, Ari, and I are a part of, but also Pagoda, formerly Near Inc., which is the development arm that develops the protocol, Aurora, and a wide variety of others that are active in the ecosystem and contributing to some of the core components of what makes the Near ecosystem a vibrant and super active community. And so to go over a little bit, we have a goal of reaching, getting 1 billion users onboarded to Web3 and getting, millions and millions of monthly active users. And we have a two-pronged approach for this. The top, what you see here, is with partnerships. So you can think of more enterprise deals, like larger partnerships that we can establish with already like large organizations that kind of help bring some of the mainstream adoption into Web3. And then here you see the bottom, we have the community in Near Horizon, which is kind of why we're here right now. So there's a vibrant open source community at Near. And then Near Horizon is the organization or component of the Near Foundation that is specifically dedicated to fostering the early stage projects and early stage companies that are building on top of Near. And some of the activities we do are hackathons, boot camps, as well as accelerator programs. And this is kind of one of those programs, which is going to be a hackathon, which leads into a summer-long fellowship to really build out and execute on the vision of your project. So just a brief background of what is Near Horizon. Near Horizon partnered with Major League Hacks to put on this hackathon. And so to give a little context about what is Horizon and what program you'll be participating in. So Horizon is a platform for early stage startup support. We try to provide the correct people, organizations, and resources so that these projects can succeed and become larger scale applications. Some of the main reasons to join the community. So the idea is that you can find the help that you really need, anywhere from legal to marketing, PR, financial advice, but also technical help as well, from a product standpoint, as well as developer tools and development help. You can connect with other builders as well. This hackathon is a great way to meet other people that are building on Near, and Near Horizon will augment that as well, where you can connect with other builders that either are currently building on Near or are looking to build in, but maybe didn't participate in this hackathon directly. And then the last, which is a really critical component and is kind of the end goal of what Horizon wants to do, is to raise capital for your project. So the idea is that you're building, you're continuing to evaluate your idea, progress on technical implementation, and eventually get connected with investors from our angel network, VC network, et cetera, to raise capital to continue building out your project. Right. The ecosystem service providers, as I mentioned, right, you can think of auditing, engineering support, legal support, tokenomics design, if your project includes a token, general strategy, fundraising advice, et cetera. The idea is, whatever help, whatever support you need, Near Horizon is a place to get that help and make your vision a reality. So kind of how you can get involved, you start by creating a profile, then you can join a wide variety of programs that we have, including we have like weekly demo days, wide variety of office hours, and many programs, including MLH. You can create contribution requests where service providers will respond and say, hey, I can help you out. And then you can also apply for accelerator programs as well, which you guys are basically in one as well. So just to talk about some of the other programs we have an accelerator program with Outlier Ventures kicking off in the next month. And then we have another program called ENCO Club, which consists of a technical boot camp, which lasts 4 weeks, into a pre-accelerator program where you'll build out your idea in a setting that allows you to utilize the knowledge that you learned at the boot camp to create a powerful project. And then we'll be sharing these slides later with you, but if you are having difficulty finding the Near Horizon product, you can scan this QR code and it will route you to the profile creation link to create your profile. Okay, so that was just a little background about Near Horizon and some general Near information, but now we're going to start getting into the technical details, kind of what this workshop is about, how to build on Near. So I think to start, I'm going to go over some core concepts that will hopefully help scope some of the demos and like live tutorials we're going to go over later in the workshop. Okay, so just basically some quick facts about the Near blockchain. There's a lot of different L1s, L2s. They have a lot of different design decisions that went into them and different technical implementation details. So some of the most high-level ones, right? The consensus mechanism. It's a delegated proof of stake consensus. That means the protocol transactions are validated through a mechanism called proof of stake, which means you need Near tokens to help secure and validate the network. And what you can do is you can delegate your tokens to different validators, which can essentially vote on the correct transaction history for you. Our scalability solution at Near is called sharding, which is essentially splitting up the transactions in the state of the blockchain into multiple different parts or shards, and both processing and storing them in this horizontally scalable way. It's a multi-stage process that we're building out to get full dynamic sharding, but currently it is called, we're at the stage called Nightshade. You can read more about it in the link that we'll provide at the end. But really amazing, really cool technology that allows for the amazing scalability and high performance of the Near blockchain. The smart contract execution environment is WebAssembly. Now, what makes this great is that a lot of different programming languages can compile to WebAssembly, and it's very compatible with web applications. Many of the web applications that you interact with today, under the hood, they are compiled to WebAssembly, and Near smart contracts are also compiled to WebAssembly. The current programming languages that we support right now that do compile down to WebAssembly are Rust and JavaScript. There's also an EVM compatible component to the Near ecosystem. It is called Aurora, where you can write Solidity smart contracts or any other programming language that is compatible with EVM chains. So a little bit about accounts. So Near has a unique account model, and maybe for starters, the first thing is that we have human readable addresses. So instead of getting a long key that is a bunch of alphanumeric, a long alphanumeric string like A9234 that you really can't tell someone what your address is with the human language. You could have human readable addresses, which is like ken.near. Accounts are very closely associated with contracts, right? Every smart contract on Near is associated with an account, and that's how you interact with the different contracts. For actions to be performed on chain, it requires a sender account. And what you do when you send a transaction on the Near blockchain, you attach two components. You attach the keys, which determine your access and authorization to perform that action, as well as the smart contract code that is to be executed. Now going into, okay, so accounts invoke transactions, which set off a chain of actions. There are 8 core transactions that you can perform on the Near blockchain. Create account, delete account, add key, delete key, transfer stake, deploy contract, and function call. Now, all of these, from create account to deploy contract, those are really, you can think of those as one-to-one mappings of specific types of transactions to actions. And they all are relatively self-explanatory. Create account creates an account, delete deletes an account, etc. Transfer transfers only near native tokens. Function call is what is the specific transaction type that you call when you are calling smart contract functions, and will be the majority of the interaction you do, the transaction type you make when you're interacting with a smart contract specifically. So this allows the flexibility to write a new function in a smart contract that has any type of action, and you're able to execute it. Down there, here is a great explorer that's built on the Near protocol that allows you to inspect and audit these different contracts and accounts. Okay, so before I stop there, I don't see any questions in the chat, but if anyone has any questions, definitely feel free to ping a comment in there, and I can stop and maybe go over it. But I think for now, it sounds like there's no questions as of now. So going into the developer tooling. Went a little too far. So starting at the CLI, so Near has a tool called Near CLI, and it's the command line interface to interact with accounts and smart contracts. It's built on top of the Node.js package, Near API.js, which allows you to connect and interact with the Near blockchain. You can perform a wide variety of commands using the CLI, including logging into your account, checking the state of your smart contract, sending Near tokens directly, deploying your contracts, calling and viewing your contracts, which are interactions with the actually deployed smart contracts, and then setting up different interactive connections with the blockchain. So I see some questions rolling in right now. I'm just going to take a quick time to answer them that I see that I think are relevant. So I see JS is in beta or fully functioning. The JS is fully functioning. However, it hasn't been completely audited yet. There's been a wide variety, it's been in development for over a year now, but really amazing technology that has made, JavaScript, which is a scripting language, be able to compile down to WASM. So it is fully functional. It's the 1.0, but Rust is the more mature, smart contract SDK package. But you can definitely use both for this specifically, and we definitely promote our JavaScript SDK. Excuse me. Okay, confused about keys. I'll definitely go into keys a little bit later. Aurora applications will be considered. And then, yeah, this is more stuff on the docs. The Near SDK.js works on Linux, but it also works on Mac OS as well. And I'll go into this a little bit later, but you all also are able to run it on Windows with a variety of other tools. So some really kind of key features of the Near blockchain that make it great are easy onboarding. There was like a comment earlier about, hey, can we create an onboarding API that improves this? We really pride ourselves at Near about having one of the best onboarding experiences in Web3. You're able today to, I think you guys experienced the link drops that sent out if you received and interacted with them, but by just clicking on a link and typing in your account ID, you're able to claim, create a wallet, and start interacting on chain. We think this is a much better experience than many of the other chains, which consists of the onboarding experience, consists of downloading a browser extension, setting up your mnemonic, configuring your custom endpoint, and then eventually being able to interact with on-chain applications. And then just going into, we have a large focus on user experience. But this is multifaceted, right? We have our end user experience, which you consider like, the onboarding experience and the like kind of end application user experience. But you also have the developer experience. They are our users as well. So something that's amazing is that when you create an application on Near, 30% of the transaction fees that your application generates goes back to the contract developers. We provide both a JavaScript and Rust SDK framework that I mentioned before, as well as Solidity via Aurora, that allows you to really choose whatever programming language that you're comfortable with to build on Near. And really these amazing kind of user experiences, these that really hide the blockchain aspects like transaction signing and such away from the user that allow you to create really powerful, seamless applications that can acquire millions and millions of users. What I mentioned before, just briefly more, really robust dev tooling ecosystem from our CLI, SDKs, our APIs, etc., and debugging tools, and then a wide variety of documentations and examples that we'll go over in a little bit. So the developer tools, yeah, a lot of these, and this is one of the aspects that really got me excited about Near when I first joined. But this really robust ecosystem of developer tools makes it an amazing ecosystem to build on as a dev. So the first one that I went over briefly was with contract development. So these are our SDKs. These are the frameworks that you build smart contracts with, right? Both JavaScript and Rust. JavaScript is the most popular programming language in the world, and Rust is one of the fastest growing programming languages in the world due to its memory management and extremely high performance, which makes it one of the most compatible, in general, Web3 programming languages to create smart contracts with kind of across the board. The second, as I touched in, is our command line tools. You're able to interact with the Near blockchain directly, kind of with your terminal on your local machine. Then we have wallet selector. If you're familiar with the Ethereum ecosystem, this is very similar to Wallet Connect, but there is a budding wallet kind of wallet community on Near. I think there's like over 20 wallets, but what Wallet Selector allows you to do as a developer creating an application is integrate Wallet Selector, and then you allow the end user to choose what wallet they want to use. So it's very seamless for a developer and allows full flexibility for the end user to choose, whatever they have preference, because some have a more higher focus on like mobile connectivity, such as Here Wallet. And then there are really great ones for kind of social connection, such as Meteor Wallet, and then some of our core wallets that were developed in our ecosystem maintained, such as Miner Wallet. A great debugging tool is the Remix IDE plugin. So if any of you are familiar with developing in Solidity, the Remix IDE is a super powerful way to debug, set breakpoints in your smart contract that really increases your development velocity. A team in Korea called Well Done Wallet created the Remix IDE plugin for Near, and it's a great way to test and interact with your smart contract without having to deploy, like go through a large deployment cycle. We have a JavaScript API, which allows you to interact with the SDKs at a higher level than from a non-smart contract from like non-blockchain environment. So the API is what you use to connect your deployed smart contracts with your front-end applications. So you'll use it if you develop Boss components. You can use it if you develop regular applications, regular dApps, etc. And then the RPC API is a lower JavaScript API that allows you to access the core primitives of the Near blockchain via an API. So you can think of, right, the block height, account signers, very core primitives if you want to get low level and get access to those types of resources. So now we're kind of going to get into the smart contract development, but I see a little more questions that I'm going to try to address as well. So I see one question, is it based upon Rust? So the Near blockchain is written in Rust, and then the smart contract framework is also written in Rust, where it allows you to write your smart contracts in Rust as well. So I'd say the core programming language of the Near blockchain is written in Rust, but there is many other ways to interact with it, such as JavaScript, a Node API, and a Node RPC API. So which one would you recommend, like JavaScript or Rust? I think this is a really good question and an important design decision when you're creating your application. So I would say I think you can use both. However, because Rust is more mature, I think if you're creating a application that you foresee having really high, accruing really high on-chain value, such as a DeFi application, um, that also needs high performance, Rust is probably the choice you would want to choose there. However, if you're creating an application that, you know, there's many really great use cases for using the JavaScript SDK, such as, NFT collections or like loyalty and rewards programs where you're not like the the utmost level of security is not basically the highest value proposition of the application. So I think both are really good frameworks to build upon. And then the other thing that is really good about the JavaScript SDK is you can actually write your full stack application all in JavaScript. So, right, you have a JavaScript smart contract. You're using the Node API JS, also in JavaScript, to connect and interact with that deployed smart contract. And then you can even create your front end application with React, and use kind of a subset of JavaScript in your front end application as well. And so that really reduces the overhead of development costs in a lot of situations. So I think both are really great choices, but there are some design decisions you need to make based on the application that you are building. Okay, so now going into writing smart contracts, and I'll give a brief primer on just smart contracts in general as well. Okay, so what is a smart contract, and what is a smart contract, particularly on the Near blockchain? So really, what a smart contract is on Near is just a simple program that is deployed to the Near blockchain network. Um, you know, as kind of normal applications and normal code stores information, smart contracts store data and expose methods or functions that allow you to interact with that stored data. Just as a regular application does, except this is stored on-chain and has a wide variety of different value propositions because, it is a smart contract and it is it is immutable because it is stored on chain. So some important notes about smart contracts, right? Because it is on chain, there is limited computational resources. So you can't, there's computational resources both in the size of the storage of the code that you deploy, as well as the amount of computation that a single function can perform. So this differs a little bit from traditional applications where, you basically have unlimited compute and storage based on whatever you're willing to pay for. You have to really focus on kind of performance and optimization sometimes if you're creating really, really large scale applications. However, I would say for 99% of the use cases, these computational resources should not be an issue for most consumer-based applications. Um, you interact with other smart contracts in an asynchronous way. So basically, this means that right, it is the contracts do not wait for the execution to be finished before moving on to the next task. So therefore, you're never blocked. Let's say you have a really large function that takes 10 seconds to complete, right? The Near blockchain will not wait for that function to complete. It'll move on, and then once that function is complete, the rest of the code that interacts with that return value can continue to execute. And then the last piece is that on mainnet and even on testnet, this is dealing with real tangible money. There's value in the Near token, and therefore security is a top concern, especially when you're deploying to mainnet. You can create testnet applications for free, and I believe you'll be allocated 200 Near to play around with and test with. So you can kind of ensure that your smart contracts are secure before deploying to mainnet. And then going into some of the prerequisites and the setup here, I know we had some questions about that, but you'll need to download Rust. There's a quick start guide here that talks about the different prerequisites you need to begin developing on the Rust, the Near Rust SDK. And then we have a wide variety of other documents of how to first start writing contracts, which we will be going over shortly. Okay, and then for the JavaScript SDK, so you'll need Node. Download Node. I believe we might have some issues with the most recent version of Node. I'd recommend using 18. That is, I found that to be like the most compatible right now with the Near JavaScript SDK. And then for Windows users, so the JavaScript SDK, it's compatible with Linux and OS X. It isn't currently compatible with Windows. However, you still are able to use it on a Windows machine by running WSL2, which is a Windows subsystem for Linux. And then going into our developer documentation, so I would highly recommend checking out these tutorials. These are some of the best ways to learn. These are on the left-hand side, some of the popular examples are really quick hit examples of very kind of simple applications, but will give you a great glimpse into how to develop on the Near blockchain. So a guest book will go over a donation application, cross-contract calls, a coin flip game, and then a factory contract, which is basically a smart contract that is specifically designed to generate and deploy new smart contracts. Then you can go into our token and governance portion of this, and you'll have tutorials on how to create fungible tokens, how to create non-fungible tokens, and then how to create a DAO smart contract. Some of these, the Zero to Hero courses, are some of the best tutorials I've actually seen in Web3. I remember when I first onboarded, I did this crossword game, and they're longer tutorials. Oftentimes, I think they're split into anywhere from 3 to 8 different sections. And you'll get a really good understanding of what it means to build on Near, right? JavaScript, NFTs, Rust NFTs, a deeper dive into fungible tokens, and then this crossword puzzle game goes into a lot of not only a little more complicated smart contract development, but also much more complicated API.js, Near API.js development for how to interact with that smart contract and create a user interface that interacts with the smart contract. So I see Rust is important. I don't know Rust. That is completely fine. I want to make that super clear. It is completely fine if you don't know Rust. JavaScript, using the JavaScript SDK or using Aurora is completely acceptable here. I think the JavaScript SDK, we've recently seen it get a ton of traction, and a lot of different developers and projects are using it to build. The link to the quick start guide is right here. I will post it. Let's see, I will post it in the chat just so everyone has it. We'll go back here. Okay, so now I'm gonna switch to my command line and we are gonna go do like a little deep dive, a little tutorial on, I'm gonna go through two quick examples about what it means to develop a near application, and hopefully definitely feel free to follow along. The first one we're gonna go through is very basic. It's just the Hello Near tutorial. I will post that here. And then I'm gonna switch over um, to my terminal to get started. Okay. Okay, so I think everyone can see my terminal, and please let me know if it's too small or if you can see it. But we're gonna start by using the create near app Node.js package. So npx create near app. And this is a project that basically allows you to, it creates template repositories for near applications. And it gives you a wide variety of different choices when you're creating this project, and it's very flexible to whatever you want to build. So when you type this in, you are going to choose whether you want to do TypeScript, JavaScript, or Rust. So in this case, I'll choose Rust. You also choose the language for your sandbox test. So you can either have JavaScript/TypeScript sandbox tests or Rust sandbox tests. And then you can choose the front-end framework that you will use to deploy this application. So this is just I'm just going to walk through like a basic example here. So I'm not going to use a front end. And then you can choose the name of your project here. So I'm going to say MLH build hello. And then it will say, should we install all the dependencies when we create this project? I'm going to say yes. Okay, so now we have our project here. And you can see that we have, our contracts, tests, the node modules, and everything has been installed properly. So what you need to do, the first step in creating your application, but maybe let's first, I'm going to reshare so we can take a little deep dive into the code here. Okay, let me zoom in. So, right, what you have here, this is a basic greeting application. So here, what we're saying is, hey, we're going to establish the storage data structures for the project. The near SDKs come with all your basic primitives, strings, signed integers, unsigned integers, as well as a wide variety of data structures, hash maps, lists, sets, etc., that allow you to store data, very similar how you do it in other programming languages. So this smart contract only has a single variable that is stored in the state, which is message. When you initialize it, the default initialization is the message will just be set as this default message, which is set as hello. And then you can perform two different actions on here. One is get greeting, which gets the message, and then the other is to set the new greeting, to modify it. What you do when you're finished with your smart contract development, first what you need to do, the steps of kind of deploying it, is to first build it. You need to compile it down to WASM, which is kind of the execution environment, the compiled execution environment for the Near blockchain. So it needs to be compiled down to WASM first. This is what's happening now. And it's converting, right, this Rust contract into a WASM file so it can be deployed onto mainnet. And then you can run your tests with So this again, what npm run test does is that it first compiles it and then it executes the different tests. So what you're seeing here is that, right, all these it's compiling all these different crates. So to give you a little more background here, the for Rust specifically, the cargo package, cargo.toml, right? You list your dependencies similar how you would list your dependencies in a package.json, right? You're saying, okay, hey, what dependencies, what other packages that are public am I, going to build on top of? So you're seeing it deploy, or you're seeing it use both the Near SDK and the uint feature to do this. So all these packages are dependencies, actually, all these crates are dependencies on the Near SDK. So the Near SDK is really complicated, but what you're seeing here is, the Near SDK allows you to very seamlessly kind of create smart contracts and deploy these things. So we just built it, we just tested it, and then deploying the contract is as simple as npm run deploy. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna add my target. So now maybe I'll try to share my whole screen, but if you go to this link, now you can see that this was executed correctly. So this is just, I need to add the rust step command. But that was just saying that it couldn't find the standard, basically, it's compiling it, trying to compile it to the wrong version. Just give me 2 seconds. But it still did compile, and it Rust detected librust wasn't 32 unknown. Let me see. Rust up. Okay, it seems to have it. Okay, so it's still, I don't know, yeah, it's still compile and deploy, and you can check out the that testnet link if you're interested. But basically, what that shows there is that it was deployed from a dev environment, and now you're able to interact with it and both get and set the greetings that you have. Let's see. Okay, so now I'm gonna try to go. We're gonna try to do a little more complicated of a example here. And then we're also gonna add a front end framework involved so you can see how you would interact with the smart contract from a user interface perspective. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna open this up. Okay, so this is the uh, donation. This is going to be the donation tutorial that's built on Rust, and you can see. Let's maybe go through what this does first. So here you have a little more complicated of a storage of a right data storage on your smart contract. You have the beneficiary, which is an account ID, and then you have an unordered map, which is essentially right you can think of a dictionary in Python if you're familiar with that, but essentially it's a mapping of an account to unsigned 128-bit integer. So what this keeps track of is the beneficiary is who you're going to donate to, and the donations is associating who donated and how much did they donate, right? When you are initializing the smart contract, it's saying, hey, we're gonna if you don't set, when you're instantiating the smart contract, if you don't set any specific beneficiary, we're gonna set it to a faucet testnet account. So basically, hey, if you're gonna donate to it, this will just be a faucet that will go back to the community, and it's only testnet near tokens. And then the map is a blank map to get started. You have get beneficiary and change beneficiary in the core smart contract. And then in this donation smart contract is where you have your functions for donate, which basically allows you to, which allows a third party to call the smart contract and donate what they, the amount that they would like, as well as get donation for account, which basically allows you to keep track of the history of who made what donation. And essentially what it does is, you're passing in you're going to pass in an account ID and we'll retrieve that specific donation. You can get the number of donors, which is basically how many people have totally donated, and then get donations, which allows you to get multiple different donations from the smart contract storage. Let's see, do we have any questions so far? ipconfig, not sure about ipconfig. So we have one question with how to develop with Solidity or Aurora. I can post the documentation. Aurora tutorial. So Aurora is going to actually use a lot of very similar development tools actually as Ethereum, because it is the EVM based chain. It's the EVM based component of Near, and so like you can use like hard hat, etc. But these are some really good examples from Aurora, like a tic-tac-toe game and a Uniswap game. Yeah, hard hat, exactly. So like, right, if you're developing on Aurora, many of the dev tools, because you're developing Solidity smart contracts, are going to be very similar to some of the Ethereum tooling that you're going to use. You can also connect with the Aurora chain via MetaMask. You need to like set that up from like a RPC configuration standpoint, but that's how you can test. There's like an Aurora testnet as well. Okay, so let's see, going into it a little bit. Okay, so now what we can do here. So like Yarn is another kind of package manager, very, very similar to NPM, but I think it is recommended actually to use Yarn depending on like depending on what you're building exactly. But Yarn is like both of them work for interacting with the smart contract. So what I just did, I just built and deployed the smart contract as simple as typing, like yarn install and yarn deploy. And now what this does, maybe I'll just share the whole screen so you can see it. I'll share the window. So hard hat does work for Aurora, yes. So what this did, if everyone is seeing my screen, so this essentially deployed the um, this ran the front end code that is in this donation app in my local browser and on my local host on port 1234. So I was playing around with this a little bit before, but right, you'll see that there is a component that allows you saying, hey, donate to this address. You can choose the amount or specify the amount that you want to donate. And then it also records the donations that have been sent. So let's do this. I'll donate to here. It will ask you to sign, and it will show you that you're sending, to near from your testnet account or your account to v1.faucet.nonofficial.testnet. And then you can see previously I had donated one from the kenobi.testnet address, and now it's 3. And so now I can show you if I log in. This is an example of wallet select. So hey, you can choose what wallet you want to use. And as an app developer, you can actually choose like how flexible you want that to be. Hey, I only want you to use 3 wallets, or hey, use any wallet that is compatible. So now I'm logged in on a different address. I don't have any near on this account. Let's go to testnet. Okay, let's send 5 near. So here I'm going through sending 5 near to Horizon Can.testnet. This is like a simple example of how you would kind of how easy it is to send near on one of these web wallets. Go back. So now I'm still logged in. I'll try to donate 1 near. Now, because I just transferred near to this testnet account, I have enough near to donate. And then now here you can see that it tracked that Horizon Can.testnet had 1 near to show. Okay, so I just wanted to briefly touch right before we move on. This was just 2 super simple examples of what you can build, smart contracts that you can build on near. But just to go through like what some of the API JS code that you would need to kind of create the front end that I just demoed. So this shows kind of the sign-in flow, but you're utilizing the near wallet and the near interface to on login on the load of the page. You're starting it up. You're checking if you're signed in, and then you're invoking either the sign-in flow, or if you're already signed in, you don't need to. You just try to basically retrieve that information. This fetches the beneficiary, which says okay who you're going to donate to. And then let me just show you when you set donation here. So basically what this is doing here, it's retrieving the price of near. Then it's converting the amount that you want to donate into like USD, rounding it, and then calling like that is setting the donation amount. and then it calls, right, set donation in the smart contract when you click on the donate button that I just presented. So with the combination of, the smart contract, the Near API, and the wallet selector, you're able to kind of create a full stack application, on the Near blockchain. Okay, I'm going to go back to the slides, and now we're going to go through how to build. I'm going to walk through, just basically go through some more information about some of the different core concepts that we just went over. And then does hard hat? Yes, oh, sorry, am I reading? Hard hat does work on Ethereum. Is there if anyone has any questions, feel free to ping, and I'll also be on Discord kind of throughout the day, trying to answer any questions that are helpful. Okay, so what we just did, just in review, we used the Create Near app to set up a really basic tutorial that allowed you to, create a greeting smart contract and test and deploy that. And then we also used a framework for a donation application that showed a little more complex of contract data storage, as well as a wallet sign-in and a front-end connection to allow you to interact with that smart contract. So just some, I wanted to go through some core concepts that we all saw, at least on Rust. But many of these actually also apply to the JavaScript SDK as well. So modules are what help you organize your code and allow you to use third-party libraries as well. So if you can think of like in the donation example, there was a donations mod that had all the core functionality of how to set and get donations. And the core contract that was deployed used that mod so that you didn't have to write all your code in one giant monolithic application. Touching on state and data structures. So both the Near Rust SDK and the Near JavaScript SDK expose a series of different primitive data structures that allow you to create powerful applications. As I said before, it has some of the core primitives, strings, integers, characters, even down to bytes and bits. But it also has more powerful, complex data structures such as vectors, sets, maps, and trees. To touch on transfers and actions, smart contracts are designed to perform a specific set of actions when being called. So the most basic one that you saw maybe on the wallet example is just sending Near from one account to another. But the more complicated one was actually calling function call to the set donations or add donations function that will change the data storage of your smart contract itself. It will add another mapping from that new account to the amount that was donated, which can then be displayed from a user interface. Let's see. So these are some really good builder documentation that I can maybe I can put in the chat as well. It's basically some introductory concepts, how to test, how to deploy, and then integration testing as well, and how to integrate into the front end. So what is that middleware that connects the front end and the back end? So let's see, does the project need to have a front end? No, the project does not need to have a front end. We want to make this as broad as possible and allow you to kind of focus on what you think the core, most critical component of your application can be. So if that is the smart contract development side, definitely focus on that. If you think it would be powerful to have a front end and be able to demo a POC MVP, that would be great as well. Is it compulsory to use the RPC to connect to Near while using Aurora? So I believe you can actually connect with Ethers.js to Aurora, right? You can use traditional, you can use like basically the suite of EVM tools to connect to Aurora. Yeah, through those. So you don't need to use the near RPCs to connect to Aurora. You could but you'd connect to what you'd be doing, you'd be connecting to the near blockchain, and then Aurora kind of, it highlights the power of the near blockchain, I would say. What Aurora is a giant smart contract on near, which is essentially the Ethereum virtual machine. So what's super impressive about that is like the Ethereum virtual machine is a really complicated is a very complicated virtual machine. And Near is so powerful that it was deployed as a smart contract that can compile and execute Solidity on the Near blockchain. So super impressive project, and kind of highlights um, the kind of powerful performance of the Near blockchain. Okay, so I just saw and then yeah, I actually can share these slides here for everybody as well. And I believe they'll be shared by the Major League Hacks team so that it's persistent, and you can continually reference these as well. So went over the documentation here. So now I'm going to touch on, right, some of these aspects about how you would build boss applications, how you would utilize like the full stack of the near technology stack. Okay, so, this is a comparison to some other ecosystems, but I think it is a good visual of highlighting kind of the low cost and improved velocity that you can have by building with the blockchain operating system. So here you have a JavaScript front end, your middleware, and then any smart contract framework, JavaScript, Rust, Solidity, etc. And all of this is on, or at least these two components are on the Near blockchain, and it allows you to develop on a single environment that I'll be showing later. As opposed to a more traditional Web3 application, you're deploying your front end on either decentralized storage, such as IPFS, or centralized storage, AWS, which requires its own setup and maintenance itself. You have a wide variety of middleware solutions, Alchemy, Infura, MetaMask, etc., that you have to configure, monitor, and maintain as well. And then you have your smart contracts as well, which is, right, you can think of Solidity being deployed on the Ethereum network. And what this creates is a segmented and fragmented development environment where you're right, I'm just creating one application, but I actually have to maintain and develop kind of 3 different subsets of products in order to create a full commercial based application. So something that's also great that is a really awesome component about the blockchain operating system is this extremely simple onboarding experience. So I'm going to wait for this to go to the beginning, this kind of visual here, but you see, you click a button with your Gmail, you're asked to biometric scan, you verify with your email. Basically, it's just a 2FA. The 2FA isn't stored on it isn't stored anywhere on chain. It's sharded and encrypted so no one can have it. And then you're able to actually create an account without the 12 seed passphrase that you traditionally need to secure accounts. It's secured by your biometrics. This is super, super powerful, and you can test this out on near.org if you're interested. But basically now, if you deploy an application on the boss, your end users can actually leverage this onboarding experience to access and utilize your application. Whereas if you, if you didn't utilize boss and created a traditional front-end application, you would need to use Wallet Connect, which is still, a really seamless solution. But this is something super innovative that I think is I think it's the first biometric login for a wallet that I've seen. Okay, now going into some of the amazing development tools specifically for the boss that, yeah, I'm super, super excited about. Let's see. Okay, so if you go to near.org/sandbox, okay, there was a question here I just saw. So contracts deployed on Ethereum can be used on Aurora. So not necessarily, right? Think of the Aurora to Ethereum connection as the same thing as maybe Polygon to Ethereum, right? If your contract is deployed on Ethereum, you can't access it through the Polygon chain, but you could take most likely all the Solidity code that you deployed to the Ethereum chain and deploy it on Polygon. You could do the same thing with Aurora. So it becomes much more copy paste if you have a production level Ethereum application. Okay. So here we are. So this, I just posted the link here, but this is known as the Boss sandbox. So there's a VS Code extension, a wide variety of CLI tools for the Boss specifically that allow you to develop and deploy Boss applications. But I really like the sandbox because it allows you to, develop, test, and deploy all within the web browser. And what's even more impressive about this is that this sandbox is actually a decentralized front end. This is all built on the Boss. This component that we're using to develop is stored on the Near blockchain itself. Okay, so to start off, right, I'm just going to give the most basic example, which is, right, all this is a subset of JSX code. You can think of JSX as a combination of HTML and JavaScript that allow you to create kind of front-end widgets or components. So what this is saying, hey, we have a greeting, have a great day. It lets you have variables. And then what this is doing, it's returning basically HTML code, which is getting rendered here. So in this case, it says we're specifying the class, which with basic HTML has basically certain visual and styling components built into it. So you're seeing that, right? P3 gives it the text size, text center, makes it centered on the page. You'll have props.name, which is a variable that's being passed in to this component, and then greeting. So H1 is hello props.name and then greeting. So you're seeing, okay, this is the header, hello Anna, and then have a great day is what's populated here. If I change the name, we'll do hey Ben and Ari. You can see it here. You can pass in a variety of props into this and it will dynamically render what you pass in so that you can create customized experiences for different users that are interacting with your application. So something that I think is kind of one super powerful thing about the Boss and Sandbox is that because these things are stored, because these front-end widgets are stored on chain, a lot of development in the Web3 space, I would say in general, is kind of a common pattern is, okay, hey, I have a piece of code, I have a front-end framework that I really like to use. I'll copy it and then modify it from there. So it's like, hey, I really liked how they did, right, their layout. Okay, I'll copy the layout and change the information so that it's relevant to my application. You can do that with all Boss components because they are open source, and any component that you find that's on near.org, you'll be able to fork and modify. But something that's really powerful is this concept behind composition. So to give an example of this here, I'm going to show this. Okay, so right, Guillermo is a Near OG. He's been at the Near Foundation, or he's been at Pagoda, Near Inc., Near Foundation for around. He's been part of the Near ecosystem for 2 years, but he has actually deployed he has actually deployed the widget Guillermo.near widget greetings. And so all I have to do here is I can specify that, hey, this is a widget, and I am going to, in one line of code, what I had just previously shown everybody, all I can just say, hey, I saw this widget. I'm going to give a path to this widget here, and then that is what actually gets rendered on the screen. So without actually fully copy and pasting code and then modifying it, if you want to use it out of the box, utilizing someone else's component out of the box is as simple as one line of code, which is really amazing for kind of building on top of other amazing open source applications and components. So now I'm going to go a little bit into how to use near.org and how to kind of not only for discoverability, but how to kind of find different components that maybe you want to use. So right, there are over 6,500 total components deployed on near.org right now, and you can like look through these and find what you want to use specifically. But I think one one really strong use case of this and highlighting the multi-chain nature here is this component right here. So this swap is actually a Uniswap widget that is built and deployed on top of the boss. You can look at the code here, but this shows actually because it's just JSX, you are actually using ethers.js here to connect to the Ethereum chain. And if I open this application, all this is a Uniswap widget. And I'm able to transfer, USDT for any other token that's on that's supported on Uniswap on Ethereum. And you can actually, if you're connected to your MetaMask, you can actually go between not only Near and Ethereum, but ZK Sync, ZK EVM, Aurora, Polygon, etc. So instead of having to traditionally bridge assets between chains, you're actually able to just dynamically view different chains, interact with different applications on different chains from a single view, from a single web page. So now to show, I think this is a really powerful example of the highlights of the composability piece that we talked about that I just kind of referenced before. So what this is, it is a page that I created that is both enabling you to send ERC20 tokens as well as connect with ref.finance, which is the most popular decentralized exchange on Near. So within a single view, I could, swap Near for USDC on the Near blockchain, and I could also send USDT to my friend on the Ethereum blockchain in the same exact view. And right, you saw how much code that went into the Uniswap editor, right? You can completely build on top of that, right? I could just take that code and embed it into my application. If I wanted to add a Uniswap, like a Uniswap widget into my application, I could add that in. So something that I've been working with people on is like, hey, could we add an onboarding widget? So think of like you have an application, a DeFi application, a gaming application, but then in the top right corner of your screen, you have, hey, top up your wallet from your bank account, like add $100 worth of Near so that I can keep playing. And that would create a much more seamless user experience where the user doesn't have to go between the gaming app and an onboarding website to continue playing the game. And what's like awesome is like, right, hey, all I did, this was 2 lines of code, right? I just took a previous widget that someone created, another widget that the ref team made, 2 lines of code, and now I have, right, my own, new applications. So I think the composability nature of the boss is a huge benefit. Highly recommend kind of going through some of the featured components and new components that people are building right now, um, and seeing what you can build on top of them. There's a lot of really cool components and applications, such as like 3D chess. There's like a Flappy Bird game. DevHub has an amazing kind of portal to, this is basically the public goods and open source ecosystem on Near that allows you to kind of suggest ideas, create proposals, and people can review it and vote on it, stuff like that. All built on Near, which is super cool. Here's some further documentation that's on the boss that I could post in here as well. And then, yeah, there's a lot of different really amazing things that you can do on Near. So, right, um, there's a big component around like, hey, how do you, like on a button click or on a state change, how do you interact with your smart contracts? There's really good tutorials to help you understand that, right? So it's, hey, I click a button, how does it modify the state of not only the front end component, what is stored on the browser, but also what is stored on chain and how to retrieve that. Um, you also have this concept around iframes, which is super powerful. So basically, traditional iframes is something that is commonly used in web development applications to embed information onto your web pages. And then something that I just showed is the multi-chain applications. So, right, another really interesting use case that we think are multi-chain applications that don't require bridging, which is a really big security vulnerability. So yeah, that I just showed an example of that with Ethereum and Near. But yeah, that is the presentation. I think some of our motto is create without limits. We're trying to really open up the idea behind expanding the core technology behind just the layer one blockchain of Near was to create, you know, reduce limitations of, hey, I have to build on the Near blockchain. I have to build on the Ethereum blockchain. You can now build multi-chain applications very seamlessly, easy, reducing the barrier of entry by building off of other people's components and creating a single, easy to use development environment to, code, deploy, code test and deploy all your applications. So some really amazing projects that I would highly recommend checking out that could be used in your application. KeyPalm, as I said before, like right, that technology was used to send you guys Near for and create accounts for link drops. A really amazing way to focus on user acquisition. Round is another super awesome onboarding framework that allows you to create accounts without like a passphrase as well, and is kind of, you can embed it into any type of application, very mobile friendly. Near Query API is kind of in that data layer of the stack, which allows you to create really powerful like GraphQL queries to retrieve data that's on chain. ShardDog is another amazing onboarding experience. Like KeyPalm and ShardDog have a lot of cool components that work really well together. Ref Finance, I showed their swap component in my demo of the blockchain operating system, but they have an open API and SDK where you can, perform DeFi, perform like token trades and contribute to liquidity pools and conduct yield farming, in place, spot orders on order books all through the SDK, but you can also interact on the front end. Orderly is an order book framework as well. Ref actually uses them. They work really closely together. Mintbase is an amazing contributor to the blockchain operating system. They have a really strong NFT framework for, creating NFT, no code NFT creation. And they actually also have a ChatGPT plugin as well, where you can like just query ChatGPT about the NFTs on Mintbase. And then NearBlocks is a really powerful explorer that have really good data indexing layers as well. And then I touched on this before because this was a question that we had before, but just to reiterate, right? Web 2.5, like, right? I think there's a lot of different popular current use cases that have an angle to expand their business or improve their business with kind of transitioning to Web3. So the use case I used was a project that we're working with was it's like, right, internet provider in rural areas or in, that that allow you to, if you set up the satellite to get internet, you can actually share it with people who are in close proximity with you with a token where the token is exchanged for internet access. Some real world use cases, like you can think of, like we just had a really amazing launch with Nutresa Nestle, right? Basically, there was a QR code on the back of these chocolate bars, and right, if you scan the QR code, you got an NFT, and then collecting all these NFTs like gave you a bunch of different perks, free chocolate, free swag, that really can increase like loyalty and like kind of this intersection of physical and digital assets. Like how can we merge those two aspects? And then the last one is blockchain and AI. Um, right, a lot of super interesting use cases there. Um, One that we talked about, I think ChatGPT. Right, how do you interact with the chain is another obviously super interesting one. Really, LLMs have really taken off, in this past like year in 2023, and I think a lot of people are interacting with a broad variety of different applications via chat or language. So that's a super interesting one to consider. All this kind of identity, security, privacy around misinformation, um, as well as like I think another interesting one that I've seen recently is smart contract auditing. You know, I think if you played around with ChatGPT and coding, like it can give you some really powerful insights. But hey, um, can we use AI to audit our smart contracts and identify vulnerabilities before we deploy to mainnet, really reducing costs of audits? So those are some use cases, but we want to keep this open. If, like I think if you have a great idea, we would love to see you build it. These are kind of categories we are particularly interested in. But yeah, like I know that you guys, I'm sure you guys will have like super amazing ideas, and we definitely want to, allow you to like kind of make your vision happen if you have a great idea. So here are some, just more documentation. I shared the slide deck with everyone in the group chat. There was like the boss kind of unveiling, which got like a lot of great attention. There's some more technical workshops and technical documentation that I believe I shared as well. And like I said, I'll try to be available as much as I can, monitor the Discord like most of the weekend. Um, we'll be running through a workshop tomorrow, which is this was kind of like a basic building blocks, how to build. Um, our workshop tomorrow will be kind of how to win, what we're looking for, what would be a really powerful submission. But thank you so much for listening to me, interacting, and and joining the call. I wanted to open it up to any questions. Like, feel free to, if I can go over anything else as well, more than willing to like hop on. But I see there's one question right now. What is the difference between Near and Hedera? There's a lot of differences there, right? Some of the core components, the consensus mechanism, sharding versus non-sharding, and I would just like the ecosystem is very different as well. I think Hedera is mostly focused on like enterprise and like large enterprise use cases, where Near, I think, kind of has a holistic focus on right? We want to be like the general purpose blockchain for a wide variety of use cases. Yeah, I shared the link. It was at 12:41. I shared the link. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely post questions to the Discord server. But yeah, if anyone wants me to go over anything else that they think would be helpful, more than willing to do that as well. Or I can give you back some time as well, so you can guys start building. So let's see. So we had one question. I'm a beginner, first session on Near. Where do I start? That is a great question. So I think a great first place to start is some of these. I think a great first place to start is literally just on near.org, right? If you just go here and you play around with some of the applications that are built on Near, on Boss, that there's like a social feed here. You can view all these different applications, connect with friends. It's an amazing way to like just start and see, hey, like give you some ideas of what like kind of what is being built. And then from there, I think a great place to start are the quick start guides that I have. But maybe actually here might be a good start. There's like an introduction to Near and this link right here, and it's in the presentation as well. But you like right, it goes into what is Near, what is the account model, kind of smart contracts. It gives a more in-depth overview of what I went over in these slides. And then to really deep dive, you can read the white papers, which are super, super technical. But I would recommend doing the introduction and then trying to play around with some of the first development tutorials if you want to build or like, help find people who you can team up with. Okay, let's see. Can I create a game? Can I create a game and make it available for everybody? Something like Laser Chess. Yes, of course. That'd be awesome. I think Laser Chess was super cool. It's like a 3D chess. It's actually really complicated to play, but I play people every now and then. There's a Flappy Bird game on there, which is super, super cool. But I think gaming is a really powerful use case as well. So yeah, feel free to create games as well. Okay, cool. Yeah. Thanks for everyone for attending. And yeah, if a question comes up, like I said, ping Discord, but really appreciate everyone for joining and super excited to meet everyone, see what everyone builds.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much, everyone. And we'll see you for a team formation event shortly on Discord. So, yeah, happy hacking.